it was really cute for a time, but it was not going to grow with me.
Why are you really saying no?
I would rather just like bail or delay to a time that I will be a better hang.
I haven't figured out the right way to say I need alone time.
Hey, welcome back. We're Not For Everyone, a podcast hosted by one hater, that's Caroline, and one lover, that's me. Although today I'm gonna just open it right up with a complaint because boy, do I got them. Boy, do I got the
Good.
complaints today.
Awesome.
So I guess it's a question. I'll frame it as a question. Why is it so difficult
Such
to
such an aggressive question. Why
I'm
is it?
immediately mad because okay, this has been my experience for months.
This
It is
does not
so
sound like a
difficult.
real question. What? Why is
Okay,
what?
well, I do want to know the why because I don't think I've nailed why this is happening to me. Why
Okay.
is it so difficult to buy lamps, to find cool
Yeah.
lamps?
Yeah.
Where do you buy lamps? You know about lamps. There's a lamp behind you.
That's actually a pretty good question. Why is it so difficult?
Isn't it
I
difficult?
Yeah, I don't know why people suck about lamps. They just suck about them.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I'm so happy to be validated.
I think I have found some cool lamps and I can tell you some hot spots.
Okay.
But I am constantly amazed that 95% of lamps, like if you just Google lamp,
Which
95% of them are
I've been
just like
doing.
horrible, hideous nothings. And
I
then it's like
agree.
$200. And it's like $200 for a nothing?
Okay, they are really expensive. Also,
And they're
I
not
just
even
feel like
interesting.
lamps are things that I can picture in my head. Like, I can easily picture the lamp that I want. Like,
Yeah,
it's
describe it.
pretty
Describe
easy
it.
to put
Describe it.
together in my
Describe it.
head.
Describe it.
Honestly, the one behind you is like not far off, but I
The
think
one you want just happens to be
just
behind me.
happens to be in your room. I like the mushroom shape, and which is very
Yeah.
in right now. You would think that you can get a lot of them.
Yeah.
But they always come in like the wrong color combination, or like I really would prefer chrome. If there's going to be metal on it, I would prefer it to be
Yeah.
chrome, not gold, because it
They
would
got
go
those. They got
better
those.
with
Girl,
my
they got
home.
I've been seeing those.
They have them, but then they're like
They're expensive.
expensive, or they're like teal, and I'm like, I don't need it to be teal. Like there's always one thing that is not correct about it for what I
Yeah.
need. And and because they're trying to like make it colorful or make it trendy or make it, I don't know, gold. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just one thing about it is always wrong. I'll find something that's like
Yeah.
90% correct and then it's wrong. And then I'm not going to spend $250 when it's not what I want it to be. And I can
I think you're
picture
yeah.
lamps that are better than that. So if I can picture it, why isn't it
Picture it.
being sold to me?
So I think you're so right. I think you hit on something good when they're like trying to make it trendy, like any kind of like trendy hip store, they do throw in some design choice to make it like weird and to make it like stand out, especially for the
Yes.
youths, which is why I hate that stuff. And it's just dumb. And I feel like a lot of the like design and decor stuff sold to the youths is like the subtext of every decor piece is like, um, I swear I have a personality. Just look at this mirror I bought. I swear
Yes.
I have a personality. Just look at this trinket dish. And it's like they're all, so it's like the Urban Outfitters is number one,
Yes.
Anthropology, all of them, honestly, West Elm, whatever. And I like, you can find good stuff at each of those places, but I do think a lot of their items are like trying to help young people try on different personalities so that they can feel
Hmm.
interesting, and then like you purchase one thing and then you're like, oh, this feels like decor, this feels personal because it's weird, but it was weird manufactured in a factory by like a huge giant chain, and it's
Hmm.
still not really personal, and like it probably doesn't even fit the rest of the stuff in your home.
Yep.
That's kind of how I feel.
That's exactly right. I mean,
The
I
trendy
think that
shit.
the way that we've designed the home so far is has personality. Like for sure, when Ryan and I hosted our like Christmas housewarming party last month, and
Hmm.
everybody was complimenting, the design and the like furniture and everything that we've done in the home. I'm really proud of it.
What
I
the
think it
hell?
looks
I want
really
to
good.
see
It looks
it.
really cozy.
I
Yeah, I
want to
do owe
fucking
you
see
a
it.
update now that I've actually done things because
Yeah.
yeah, you only saw the empty photos. Um, but anyway, so I feel really good about it and it has personality. But if you look at each individual item, it doesn't scream personality alone. It's
Because
only when you
because
bring them
it's
all together.
but that's correct. That's
Thank you.
correct.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're buying the statement. They're not even statement pieces. They're like, what's the right word?
I guess
Um,
trendy or like,
Trendy or like gimmicky or like to me, I always think of the like there was this trendy item in that was like stools you can sit on shaped like corn on the cob. And it's like, oh, look at this. I'm someone who owns a
I'm
stool that's
quirky.
shaped like corn. And it's like, yeah, it can sit on its own and be interesting, but like, does that really match your house? Are you going to really want to sit on that every day? And like, I completely agree that character is kind of often a bunch more like average or like mid interesting things. And it's the way you put it together that is character because that's what makes it personal
Yeah,
almost.
I
I
completely
agree.
agree. I feel like I've nailed that. And I think the way I learned
Yeah,
that
sounds
is
like you have.
because in my last place, I was living alone in this one bedroom apartment for like 3 years. And I think it started out and it was really plain. And I just had like a gray couch and everything was like shades of gray. And then I had a moment where I was like, I have a lot of personality. Why doesn't my home reflect that I have a lot of personality? Like it's just gray, basic
Mm,
things from West Elm or something. So then I redid everything, but I overcorrected and I got like all the statement pieces. I got like a green
mm,
couch and like, a rug that had like pink and yellow in it. And like it was, I think the kids are calling it dopamine decor on the internet. It was like that. It was like really colorful, like
interesting.
squiggly shapes. And I liked it for what it was. Like it was really cute for a time, but it was not going to grow with me. And then especially with Ryan and I moving in together, it was not
Yeah.
reflective of him at all, let alone me. Like it wasn't really reflective of me. It was just like trendy, cute, girly stuff. So
Uh-huh.
I sold a bunch of it on Facebook Marketplace and got all new stuff with Ryan. And it was like a big process for us to figure out things that we both liked or like compromises that each of us would be willing to make. And I feel like we've nailed it now where it reflects both of us. And like I said, like each individual piece is normal. Like the couch is a normal beigeish couch color and the rug is like not super loud and boisterous but it like has an intriguing pattern to it and like this is a cool shape and that is a cool whatever and like
Mm-hmm.
everything coming together looks like us but it was only after I overcorrected and did all the like trendy quirky design Urban Outfitters stuff in my last
Yeah.
place that I learned that this is what to do. But the final piece that we're missing is lamps.
It's a lamp.
And
I'm
I
literally
can't find them.
I'm literally writing down things you said because I feel like you just articulated a lot of design stuff really well.
Okay, yeah, use my
Yeah.
expertise for your next bid.
Well, I think you're just like I can see exactly where you are on the finding your style
Mm,
arc kind of. It's like you have to do that kind of swinging of the pendulum and then eventually like at first you're all gray and so then you swung to girly statement piece, personality piece, trendy, whatever, and then you swung back a little more and it's like there's going to be more pendulum swings but they're getting smaller and smaller each time
yeah,
until it's just like centering on you, and you're
yeah.
also doing that with Ryan, so of course it's going to be something new together. But yeah, I just like how you described that. I think it's very relatable. And I think, yeah, I've actually never thought about that before about how it's normal pieces, but it's really how you layer it. That's how I would describe my home. It's just normal shit in here.
I think it was
Um,
groundbreaking to me to realize that about your home because,
just normal ass shit in here.
yeah, or like specifically the couch because it's a normal color
Mm,
couch. You know what I mean? It's
dude,
so
it's a
tempting to
boring
be like,
couch.
oh, I
Yeah.
need to get like the trendy color, like the army green, cool
Mm-hmm.
couch with like the legs that are, metal and have a little gold, like a brass bit at the bottom, and it like
A bit.
looks, like just like the couch that is trendy. Um, which is what I did in my last place, and I liked it enough, but it wasn't going to translate as I like moved into new spaces and tried new
Yeah.
things with my style. And I really remember actively observing that you had just like a cream couch that would have been a good couch 10 years ago, will be a good couch 10 years from now. Like there's nothing strange about the shape of it. It's just a couch that's cream and it's really comfortable, and I'm sure it's
Just
good quality.
couch.
Well, I know it's good quality because I
Yeah.
have the same one now. But
Oh, you got the
but
same one.
I got
Yeah.
the same one. It's different color, but yes, same one. Um and I don't know. I just realized like, oh, Caroline has really good style and design sense, obviously. And she just has a normal couch. Like I don't need to get the thing that is the bold color and the bold style and think that that makes my home
Yeah.
cool. I don't know. I can design around basic items. That
Yeah,
was
because then you
really
can
like
you can still make it interesting. It's the
really
layering.
pivotal. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you came and sat on my couch.
I
Thank
know. I
you.
saw the couch. I paid attention to the
Yeah.
couch.
It's funny because when you get like that statement purple couch, first of all, obviously you can get a statement piece, but I think getting like a custom statement is truly you piece is very different from getting the purple couch off the website that everyone else is getting.
Yes, exactly.
And and when you get that statement, quote, statement piece, trendy, loud, personality piece, A, you're handcuffed to that forever because it's like this like big personality thing. And most likely you still haven't gotten any style because if you're ordering it, if you can get it off a website, it's not going to like give you style on its own, I want to
Yeah.
say. If you can get it off a website, I've ordered plenty of things off websites, lots of things.
I love
But again,
websites.
they're kind of mid and they're kind of um plain and it's more about like how you arrange them. So if you're like hoping to get like personality off of a website, I don't know how well that's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This lamp that you like, I was inspired by, I really wanted this like overpriced, overexpensive library lamp from a website called Schoolhouse. They've got really cool stuff.
I've
It was
seen
just
them.
way too expensive and I couldn't justify it. So I Google image searched a picture from their website to see if there were other lamps around like it. And then I found this one on eBay, which is fucking identical, except that it's old and it's from eBay. And like the paint isn't shiny. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
acrylic-y. It's but it was vintage like bronze library lamp. And I probably paid like $80, but I'd say eBay, Etsy.
Yeah.
Um
Just
I
takes
like a
so
good
much time
shape.
to search
It
them.
does. It
But I
does.
do
It
use
does.
that trick I learned from one of your videos a couple years ago at this point of like taking a screenshot of the thing you like and then putting it in the Google image search to find, first of all, if it's
Hmm.
like cheaper somewhere else, but then also if there's just like dupes for it. I do that all the time and it
Hmm.
really works. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily love, I'm not like so horny for a dupe just if it's going to be like a cheaper version, like a worse made version of the thing, but like this was like a vintage version. And so then I'm
Yeah.
like
Which
I'm
is
horny
even
for
better.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, lamps are weird. I feel like they're also spindly and I'm like I really want some girth on the lamp.
I want some girth, but I don't want, I feel like all the lamps right now are like orbs, and I don't want an
That's
orb
annoying.
necessarily.
Oh
I just
shit.
want, I want something in between like a normal lamp and an orb. I feel like those are the two options are normal lamps with like a
What's an
lampshade.
orb lamp? What's an orb
They're just
lamp?
like
If I
spheres.
search orb lamp, will
Yeah,
that bring up?
probably. They're everywhere. IKEA, Urban Outfitters.
Eh.
And I mean, I don't
Oh,
dislike them, but like it's not what I want for my space.
that's not a
And
lamp. Yeah,
it's yeah, it's not really a lamp.
it's not
And I feel
really a
like for the
lamp.
specific spots I'm thinking about, I need something taller to go in that to like fill in that gap in the room, so to speak. Not a
Oh
floor
yeah,
lamp,
yeah. Get a
a
big
lamp,
boy.
a table lamp that is like has some tall presence to it.
I'm talking 30 inches. I'm talking 32 inches.
Right. And I'm not
Yeah.
finding out. The other thing I want is I want sconces for our bedside tables, like to go around the bed,
Hot.
because the lamps that we currently have on our bedside tables, it just like takes up space on the tabletop, and I need like
Save
seven
that surface
beverages
area. Save that
all the
surface area for
time,
drinks. Yeah, she needs her
right?
liquids. She
I need
needs them.
so many things on my bedside table. There's no room for like the base of this lamp. So I really want sconces. That's another thing that I'm struggling to find. It's just the lighting industry. I'm calling
Yeah.
out to you. Please do something. Or and I obviously I don't want to spend crazy amounts of money, because if I did spend a lot of money, I could get exactly what I wanted, but that's not
Right.
what we're
Yeah.
looking to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my complaint.
It
And
sounds like you're really growing through it though.
I think
Genuinely. I
so. I
really want
think
to
we're gonna
see I
get
really want to see your
somewhere.
apartment. Your
Yeah,
condo. I really want to see it.
maybe I'll do a little virtual tour after this. The
That'd be
It's
hot.
really cozy downstairs, and I'm really proud of it because I
Oh,
feel like when we toured the place, I knew it had potential. Obviously, we moved into it, but like it was just sterile the way that they had styled it.
I would say it's
And
pretty like modern and you could make it very cold. It's not
yes,
inherently cozy.
it is
Yeah, so
modern.
if you
The
made it
kitchen
really
is modern
cozy, that's
looking.
great.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I could tell. I was like, I know how to make this a warm ass space. Like I just had a vision and I went for it. And there were a few things that I had to make Ryan trust me on too. Like I really had to pitch him on a lot of my ideas and like wait for him to come around on certain things, or just be like, I'm going to do this anyway and you're going to trust me on it. And I very frequently remind him, like, we'll just be sitting on the couch and I'm like, this is a really good room, isn't it? You didn't think I could do this, did you? Like I just need the kudos. I'll send you pictures.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to. I'm proud of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
We made it to the end of the month, the end of January, the longest month of the year, where every day feels like a month in and of itself. And one of the things that made this month the hardest for me was figuring out what to put in my body every day for nourishment. I was so exhausted and I had just no creative energy to think about what to feed myself. That is where HelloFresh comes in. HelloFresh is sponsoring today's episode, and they really have helped me over the years to get out of a funk with not being able to figure out what to make for dinner night after night, especially on busy weeknights. In my last HelloFresh box, I actually selected entirely 15-minute meals. They have a whole menu of meals that just take 15 minutes to make, and I only selected those in my last box, and it was a game changer. Like, I made all of them in the middle of a work day or at the end of a long day. And sometimes HelloFresh will throw in like a bonus item that they didn't tell you they were going to send you. So in my last box, they sent me egg bites that I could just pop in the microwave or the air fryer for breakfast, pre-made, ready to go. They're looking out for you. Bottom line is that HelloFresh is looking out for every part of your day so that you don't go hungry just while you're like doing your normal winter dissociation. So you can get up to 10 free meals and a free high protein item for life. That's huge. Bonus item for life at hellofresh.com/not for everyone 10FM. Okay, that's a little difficult. It's not for everyone, fully spelled out. 10FM. One item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to hellofresh.com/not for everyone 10FM. The link is in the description to make that easier. I guess speaking of living with partners and all that, have you and Justin ever gone to a hotel?
Kissed.
Ever kissed? Have you ever gone to a hotel where you ended up with two beds in the room and each had your own bed? And if you have not, can I recommend it to you as soon as possible?
Oh, why? No, I don't
Oh
think we have yet.
my gosh.
What'd you
It's
do?
a treat.
Sleeping
Um,
separately?
yeah, but in the same room, it's so
Oh
fun
no, I could never. No, we would end up in this. We'd end
in
up
the
in a
same
twin
bed.
bed. Yeah.
We did that at like a friend's wedding a couple months ago. We ended up in a hotel room that had two full beds, and we're used to a king bed at home. So like
Yeah.
downsizing that much was actually going to be tough. I spread out a lot and I'm a hot sleeper, and so like we really need our king. And so whatever, we kind of thought about like, do we just sleep in the same bed and forego the other one? I don't think we're gonna get the best sleep. Let's just each have our own bed tonight. It could be kind of cute. It could be kind of like
Yeah.
sleepovery. And it really
That's
was one of the
funny.
best
That's
sleeps I've had in months. And then he like came over and visited and we got a little like frisky in my bed. And then he like, cuddled a little bit
Went
after
along
that.
his
And
way.
then he went back to his bed. And I was like, I could do this for a long time. I
Oh,
understand
yeah.
people. It made me understand people because there are people who have separate beds or have separate
Yeah.
rooms. I don't think I would ever want to do that like every single night, but um I see the appeal after that
I
wonderful
could
night.
see it for a lot of people. I think probably more people would enjoy, like more couples would probably enjoy having just separate bedrooms,
Hmm.
then I feel like it should be way more normal. I don't think, I mean, I don't know, Justin.
What?
Justin is so cuddly. Like it will never. I can't even get my half of the bed.
Does
Um,
he cuddle through the night like while sleeping or just leading up to the sleep?
Sometimes I think he will often like it'll be a lot leading up to sleep, and then he'll kind of like decide it's time to get serious, and he'll roll over to his side and like do
Yeah,
serious
okay.
sleeping.
Okay.
But in the middle of the night, many times when he's like kind of dead asleep, he will, if I rustle and he remembers I'm there, but he's like in his sleep, he
Hmm.
will come back over on top of me. And it's honestly like very suffocating. And it's like and he has no idea that I'm already on the edge of the bed. He'll be like in the
Mm,
middle of the bed and decide to cuddle me more in his sleep. And then we could fit two other people on the other side of him and we're all
yeah.
scrunched up in a corner and I can't breathe and I can barely move him. Um, it's, I could do with a bigger bed, I will say,
Yeah.
but because we're sleeping in a queen right now. And I
Once you
do like cuddling. I
upgrade,
love cuddling. Yeah. The
once you
king
get a
is going to
bigger
be
bed, you
really good
can't
for
go
us.
back. Because we
Uh-uh.
used to sleep, like I used to have a queen bed for the first 2 years of our
Uh-uh.
relationship. We slept in a
No
queen
way.
bed
Yeah.
and then upgraded to a king. And whenever we like go stay at a friend's house in their guest room that has a queen bed, which is like totally appropriate and normal, um, it's just like, it feels like we're in a twin. Like you cannot go
Yeah.
back. But yeah, Ryan claims that I do what you're saying Justin does, which is like he claims that I'm in the middle of the bed from the get-go. And then he claims that I
And you
cuddle,
sleep cuddle?
that I like in the middle of the night. Kind of similar, like it's not every night, but if I become aware of his presence near me, I'll like
Yeah.
cuddle.
Reclaim
But
the
then I'm like,
cuddles.
how come every morning when I wake up, I am cleanly on my side of the bed? Like, prove it. Prove that I'm doing that. He actually
Yeah.
has filmed me a couple times in
Is he
my
rolling
sleep.
you over?
No, and that's the other thing I've said to him. I've been like, you have my permission to push me, move me over, like do what you need to do in the middle of the night, but he doesn't do it. And I'm like, you
Oh,
don't
I
get to
would. I've
complain to me about
tried.
it if you're not even trying to
Yeah.
move me. Like,
No, you gotta move
stand
him.
up for yourself.
I can't move Justin. I can't even move his head. I
Yeah.
can't I have to like sleep talk at him to convince him it was his idea to move. And then he'll roll over a little bit.
Oh,
I
you
do
said in your sleep that
yeah.
you were gonna move.
That you were gonna move like Inception. I have to like incept his dreams
Into his
and
dreams.
make him think about moving and then he'll move. Otherwise I don't
No,
stand a chance.
the great thing that we have also occasionally taken advantage of is the fact that we live in a two-bedroom now. And so I have slept in the guest bedroom on my own a couple of nights since we've moved in together. One time when I was sick, and so I didn't want to get Ryan sick, and I just like needed my space. And then one other time, I think I just, yeah, it was like, I need to be alone. Like, I haven't had any alone time,
Yeah.
and I slept separately, and it is healing. I have gotten, this is actually a real pause and reflect moment. I have gotten a lot better at realizing and expressing when I need alone time. I feel like
Yes.
it was not something that I really was tapped into before because I lived alone. So I like automatically got it. Like
Mm-hmm.
Brian would be over a lot, but there were still a lot of times when I was just there alone and I would get that time. Um, but now that we live together,
Oh.
it's much harder to come by. And I think it like rocked me the first couple times that we were living together and I realized I was like having a moment of where I actually needed alone time, but I didn't know that that's what was happening with me. I would just get really irritable and feel really drained, but like not be able to communicate what was going on. Like it was kind of a new feeling.
Yeah.
And at some point, I realized, like, oh, that's how I get when I need alone time. Okay. And then once that clicked for me, I've gotten a lot better at just going and being like, hey, I'm going to go to the other room for a little bit and like just do my own thing. And it doesn't have to do with you. It's just me needing that.
I
And
I don't think
I'm
I've
good
come
at
up.
it.
That's awesome. First of all, that is awesome. I feel like I can see a bunch of ways. You said this about me, and I really mean it about you. I feel like I can see so many ways that you've grown and like
Hmm.
in just even in the duration of doing this podcast. Yeah, just like boundaries and additional awareness of your needs and awesome stuff.
Thank
I,
you.
you're welcome. I
What
was
are you going to
gonna
say
say
now?
now about me, now about me, which is that I haven't figured out the right way to say I need alone time.
Yeah, it's very hard. What do
Yeah.
you end up doing? Or like what are we trying to solve for or fix?
Um, what do I end up doing? Well, first of all, both in Justin's apartment and my apartment, there's only like one room you can close the door to, I guess,
Yeah.
and also the bathroom. So it's like I can go, it's like if I want to go in my room alone, I can do that. But the rest of the apartment is all one big thing. And um yeah, I don't know. He said, I think he's told me also that like he it won't hurt his feelings. He just wants to hear it's easier for him if he hears like something that I actively want to do. If I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go paint."
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes I don't have anything I want to do. I what
Sometimes
I
you're
want
gonna
is to be
scroll on your
alone.
phone. Yeah.
Sometimes I really just want to be alone. That's what I want. Just
Yeah,
sometimes.
I understand that. I think I wonder if it would help. I don't know. Okay. I'm gathering my thoughts. So for us, Ryan has always been more of the like lone wolf, more reserved, quieter, needs more alone time guy. And I have
Mm-hmm.
not historically been that way. I mean, everybody needs alone time, but like I said, I have not been as tapped into my need for it
Mm-hmm.
in the past. He's very tapped into that need and he needs more of it than me. So I learned very early in our relationship, like, okay, he's going to need that time and I'm going to need to be okay with it. And so we kind of navigated like, what does it look like for you to take that and for me to not feel hurt by it? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not, it like shouldn't be hurtful, but I'm anxious and I have a fear of abandonment and like I can easily take something like him needing time to himself personally when it's not personal.
I mean,
So,
that's the thing is I think if Justin said to me, I need alone time, first of all, I love alone time probably more than anything. And I think it is so healthy. But, and also if he said, I just need to be alone while it's just me and him in his apartment, I'd be
yeah,
like, fuck you. What do
I know.
you mean?
I know.
What do you
Like it
mean?
does immediately sound like,
It sounds like it's
did
about
I do
me.
something?
Did
Yeah,
I do something?
exactly. But
It's not
first of
about
all,
you. I just don't want to talk to you. But it's
first of
not
all,
it really isn't personal.
I think the words alone time are like bad language to use
I
for it,
know, I know. I
you
haven't
know?
found good language.
So I feel like and I think that's part of the reason that Justin has told you, like, it helps me if you say you want to go do something because
I
you
know.
saying,
I don't have
I'm going to
anything to
go
do.
knit is different than you saying, I need alone time. It
I know,
feels
but then
less
he'll come in,
targeted.
but I also want to be clear that like don't talk to me while I'm knitting. So I feel like it
Yeah,
needs to be in there.
I
I'm
need
like,
to
okay,
knit alone.
I'm gonna go knit and I don't want anyone to ask me about it.
I know it is really tricky. I feel like what Ryan and I established was like, I definitely need him to kind of remind me that it doesn't have to do with me. Just like proactively be like,
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to take some time to myself. I think that even that language is better than alone time. And I feel like that's how he'll say it a lot is like, I'm going to take a couple hours
Oh,
to myself. It's helpful when it's time frame.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Then he'll say, you know, it's nothing that happened. I'm just like feeling drained. Doesn't have to do with you. I'm just want to
Okay. That's
recharge.
good. I think that's what's good. That's what sounds good to me. I think the like I'm drained feels important because I'm gonna go knit or something. It's almost dishonest because I feel like I don't feel like I need to hide the fact that I'm
That you
craving
need
this
alone
other
time.
energy, and I feel like
Hmm.
it feels important to be like I need alone time.
That's
But that
true.
language just and so I feel like I'm feeling drained. I'm gonna go touch
Yeah, it's
myself
honest. It's like a good it's a
emotionally.
good check-in of like how they're
Yeah.
doing as long as you have the reminder that it's not about you. And
Yeah.
for me also like a time frame can help of like for a couple hours or for, to
Yeah.
watch one episode of this thing or whatever. Um for me, communicating it to him is easy because he has needed this for so long. It's a need that he has
Yeah.
had. So he really gets it. And it's almost like I feel proud of myself when I tell him I need alone time because I'm like, see, like I also need to recharge alone sometimes. Like, don't you think I'm a cool girl who doesn't need you? Like, this is cool. It's sexy. Like, I don't know. I feel good about myself when I get to tell him that because it's so less often.
Vindictive.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. But the difference is that I was having a hard time even knowing when I needed that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not hard for me to tell him once I know. It
Yeah.
was more like I would start noticing my behaviors when I was feeling drained and when I hadn't had alone time in a while. And it took a few rounds of noticing that behavior to realize, like, oh, these are the moments when, like, I'm acting up because I haven't been in a room alone with the door closed and, like, not owed anything to anyone for an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
That's great to notice.
that is what I need. And it took me a while to figure out that that was what was going on. Cause, like I said, it was like built into my life before we moved in together. So I didn't think about it.
Yeah. I know that kind of just blew my mind. Like I went and spent a week, the last week living, just staying at my parents' place and hanging out with
Hmm.
my siblings for a bit. And I enjoyed it. It was like nice time with them. But after a couple days, I was like, why does it feel fucking crazy in here?
Hmm.
And I'd just been carrying on normally, like, meaning during the day, working on my laptop in the living room, working in the kitchen, like being around, bippity bopping. And that doesn't, it, when there's other people in the house, I'm not living alone, it's like stimulation all day long and no one was doing anything wrong and nothing was negative, but it was like, yeah, I was using my living alone house routine in a house with a bunch of people and not
Mm.
remembering to go take, yeah, I don't have to go take alone time when I'm living alone. And I was like flailing by the end of it.
Yeah.
I ended up driving back to my apartment. I wasn't even feeling like, oh, I want to be back in my apartment or like, oh, I'm craving alone time. I wasn't really aware of it either. And then I ended up driving back to my apartment just like get, I don't know, a microphone or something I needed. And then as soon as I was alone in my space, I was like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think I just needed to be home alone for a bit.
Yeah.
It's hard
It's
to
really
notice
real.
still.
It's
Yeah.
really real. But then the other thing I'm realizing about, so I appreciate you saying how much I've grown with like setting my boundaries and stuff since we've started the podcast, because I really think it's true. And I think I've learned a
Oh,
lot of it
yeah. I
from our
see it. I see it.
conversations.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it that I'm noticing recently is like almost like there's a risk of overusing the out of setting my boundaries or like prioritizing my peace or something. So, for example, I had three different coffee dates this week with like new people or relatively like looser connections. Um, and I was looking forward to all of them. And obviously, that's why I scheduled them. But as they got closer, and I also had a really busy week at work, and I also Like it wasn't just one coffee, it was three with new people, and
Yeah.
all of these things started adding up. And I was thinking to myself, like, oh shoot, like I'm actually, am I drained? Like maybe I'm too drained to go meet up with a new person right now. And it was so tempting to like click that out button of like, oh, hey, the week got really busy and it would be great if we could like delay to next week. Work is crazy. I just like need a second. Um, because I feel like it's become easier for me to do that than it was a few years ago. Like for me to
Mm-hmm.
text somebody and say like, "Hey, I'm just not feeling it today." And then two, it's also become easier culturally that people get to do that and we don't get mad at them anymore. Like I feel like everybody has kind of accepted this thing of like protect your peace. Like if you can't make it to something, just communicate and people should understand that. And all of that is really good. And I'm really glad that that's, the way the world is moving and the way that I have like grown. However, I also think that it gets really easy to click that button when really I will feel great if I go out and like see these people.
Yeah.
Um, so I went to all three coffee dates is the moral of the story this week.
Yeah.
And even though I feel kind of tired of like talking about myself and kind of repeated the same things a few times in these different conversations, I also gained a lot more from them than I lost. And I think at the root of my temptation to tap out was this feeling of like, if I'm tired and I go to this coffee with this new person, I won't be my best self with them and I won't be
Mm-hmm.
like a good hang. And I would rather just like bail or delay to a time that I will be a better hang. And instead, what I chose is like, I'm going to go anyway. And like, I'm allowed to just show up even if I'm tired and it'll be fine. Like, they will survive. I will survive. Like, I don't need to be at 100% to go meet a person. And I feel like I don't know. I feel like I learned something from that. So there's this like dual learning that I'm having right now of setting those boundaries and keeping my peace and saying no and taking my alone time when I need it, but also still pushing myself sometimes to like go do the thing, even if I'm not at 100%. I don't know. It's a really like weird line to walk. And I noticed
Totally.
myself thinking a lot about that this week.
I think it's a spectrum all over again. I don't think of um I don't necessarily think of the cultural swing towards protecting your peace as being all positive or all negative. I kind of think it's
Right.
like a neutral thing. I think I feel the same way about it as like, is staying home all good or all bad? No. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You probably need a balance. Um, yeah, I guess I was trying to think about, I totally know what you mean. And I mean, I think it partially is um kind of relates to what I've talked about with like the discomfort spectrum. I actually don't know if I've talked about it on the
Hmm.
podcast, but I talked about it in YouTube videos of have I talked about this here?
Um, yeah, well, you did the whole strategic discomfort. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I kind of think of it as a spectrum. Like if you are someone like previously you kind of self-described as never recognizing when you needed alone time, never recognizing when you just needed a break, when you needed to tap out. You're
Yeah.
very comfortable with few boundaries, very comfortable living in kind of a state of discomfort, staying in the room long after you're cranky, going for that third, fourth, fifth coffee long after you're exhausted. It's like you're very comfortable functioning in a state of discomfort and basically ignoring your needs. And then the
Yeah.
pendulum swung, which was really good for you based on where you were, I think, to a place where you're like, you know what, Jess, I'm going to allow you a little more comfort. I'm going to allow you some downtime when you're tired of being in the room with someone. I'm going to allow you to politely back out of a coffee when you are just completely drained, like have a little more comfort in your life. And then I
Hmm.
think I also see a ton of people, and I can do this in areas in my life. I think we can each be different ends of the spectrum at different times. Like the other end of the spectrum, the other extreme is like, I think the toxic version of protect your peace, like sometimes the protect my peace, that's my boundary. I think a lot of the times that the therapy speak is weaponized to
Yeah.
just mean I'm no longer connecting with people and I'm no longer interested in compromising. Um,
Hmm.
I think that you can use setting boundaries, protecting your peace, as well as tolerating discomfort. I think all of those are neutral things that can ideally be used to nourish your life and hopefully like nourish relationships. Even you saying no to a particular coffee can be very nourishing to your life because you get a recharge. It probably means you get to see that person next time in a better state. It means you get to put more nourishing time towards your time with Ryan or the other people you are going to see that weekend. It's nourishing as
Yeah.
opposed to like the kind of weaponized version of, well, that's my boundary. Well, that's my boundary. I don't want to talk to you about your problems because that's my boundary, protecting my peace. I don't really get involved in family because I'm protecting my peace. Like that version of it, or like never going out for coffee because you're wiped and you had a hard week and you should never have to do something uncomfortable. It's like that can end
Hmm.
up hurting you, hurting your life, not being nourishing. So I think of the whole thing kind of is just a spectrum.
Yeah.
And and you've like pushed yourself in such a healthy way. And the line does seem fine. Like I don't know how I wish there was an equation to
Hmm.
be like, do I need to go to this coffee or not? Like plug in
Yeah.
the different data of my life and my week and what I've been working on and how I've grown and like is the growing edge for me to go to this coffee, even though I 30% don't want to? That could be the growing edge, see what happens. Or is the growing edge for me to let myself off the hook? That could be the growing edge too.
Yeah.
Like, which one is actually nourishing? I don't, I still, I think I feel the same that it takes like a weird amount of sitting and like thinking about it
Hmm.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think spot on about the pendulum swinging and like my specific experience with it too, because that was the realization I was having is like I historically have been like a really outgoing, extroverted, social person who doesn't set a lot of boundaries in those areas of life and yeah, feels pretty normal to like be doing things with other people all the time, putting those things above my own awareness of my needs. And then I corrected that and like learned from that and grew from that. And I feel like I swung the other way further than I ever have before, where to the point where I was like, am I an introvert now? Like, not that it needs to be defined in these buckets, but it it is surprising how much time I spend at home and spend on my own in the last couple years compared to before that, if you like knew
Yeah.
me before that. Um, and that's just something I was kind of observing about myself. Like, it doesn't have to have a morality attached to it. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It's just kind of like, okay, that's interesting. Now I'm more in that side of the spectrum.
Hmm.
And more recently, I think it probably has a lot to do with the fact that it's winter and it's like really cold here and darker and, whatever. Winter sadness is real. And I've felt drained for no reason, kind of. Like I've just been tired at the end of the day. I hate to say no reason
Hmm.
because obviously there's a reason and like I'm not trying to invalidate my own
I
experience,
think
but
the lack
it's
of
like
sun and lack of vitamin D and lack of light
is
it really
valid.
has an effect. It has, I mean,
Yeah,
not even I think there's science somewhere out there, there's science that we don't know about,
a hundred
but
percent.
it's such a thing. Yeah.
But I think for that reason I was like, okay, I'm tired, so I don't really want to go out and put myself out there with new people. But at the same time, I think that that's exactly what's going to heal what's
Hmm.
going on right now, which is that I'm in this perpetual state of like just being in my house because it's winter.
Hmm.
And I kind of need to force myself out to get inspired again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just able to realize that of like, if I say no, it's like not the end of the world. It's not a big deal, but I'm just going to continue to be in this like blah state that I've been in.
Yeah.
I would be saying no because I'm in that blah state. And actually, the reason I scheduled this is because I thought it would get me out of that blah state. So, like, yeah, I don't really feel like going right now when I'm in my home and it's cold
Mm.
outside. It's like the gym. It's like I didn't feel
I
like
was about
going
to say
beforehand. But
I
then
did this
once you
whole
get there,
thing with the gym
yeah,
today. Yeah, keep
okay.
going.
No, no,
Why
that's
so
it.
why so you ended up choosing to go ultimately because you were like
I knew it would be good for
it
me.
might knock me out of the blah.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
this is me trying to knock myself out of the very thing that
Yeah.
wants me to not go. You know what I
That's what
mean?
I feel like that's an even deeper level of self-awareness, which is that like, okay, first you were self-aware, I don't feel like going to this. Great. But then there's a deeper level of like, why don't I feel like going to this?
Yeah,
Is it because I'm depleted and I gave so much and I need to recharge? Or have I been recharging theoretically all fucking week and
forever.
like not
Yeah.
not that depleted and actually I've lost momentum or I'm in a funk
Yes.
and I'm in my blah thing. I had to do the same self-diagnosis today. It's so funny. The fights I have with myself trying to convince myself I don't have to go to the gym some days. Like
Hmm.
I really go in waves and I was like working out a ton. I don't know, over the past couple weeks, like a healthy amount, not even overdoing it, just like great, you're back in the routine. And
Hmm.
then I missed because of busy work days over like the last 3 days, and I felt knocked out,
Yeah.
feeling bad, like feeling blah, feeling achy, not feeling good. And it's Sunday today, we're recording. I was driving like back from the suburbs and I'm calculating in my head like the math of how I can convince myself responsibly to not go to the gym. Like I don't know who I think I'm
Hmm.
tricking. And ultimately what I was feeling in my head was like, okay, well, I want to get buff, but I'm not going to get buff today. Like, I'm not going to get buff in one day, which is like insane, like an insane thought to even think. Like, duh, Caroline, that was never the promise of going to the gym one time. And I was like, and then I kind of broke it down and was like, okay, so I'm annoyed that I won't get buff in one day. But the long-term goal of like this, I'm trying to like up my fitness routine requires consistency. And tomorrow, I'm not going to wake up buff if I go to the gym. Tomorrow, I'm not going to wake up buff, but I am going to wake up with momentum because I'll
Yeah.
have one thing under my belt instead of having to do this whole fucking rigmarole tomorrow. And I don't know that like somehow like anyway, long story short, I went to the gym.
Good
Amazing. She's a saint.
job.
She's a hero. And I feel like super energized right now, which, somehow I forgot that that happens too.
Oh, totally.
Um,
You have
but
to
it
relearn that all the
was
time.
totally every single time. But
Yeah.
I felt like it was a similar self-diagnosis of being like, why are you really saying no? And the
Be
reason I was
honest with
really saying
yourself.
no, yeah, the
Yeah.
reason I was really saying no is because I was annoyed that I couldn't go and get buff in one night. I was like, well, that's the answer to that is never going to change. So then you'll never go to the gym.
Yeah, it is a lot of the times about recognizing the momentum of like, I could
Yeah,
continue the downward momentum that I've currently been in,
which
or
I'm killing. Yeah,
I can, yeah, which is,
I'm
pretty
killing
easy. I'm doing a
it.
really good job at it. It comes really naturally to me.
Yeah, I'm a
Um,
natural.
or I could pick up the
Shake it up.
momentum towards the thing I want. Because that was another motivator for
Hmm.
me. Like the coffees that I had were all towards kind of like a revival of my creative like side of myself or something. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were all people who I was going to have conversations with about like creative work and ideas that I have and like just things, which is something that I'd like to recenter this year.
Hmm.
And it's like if I want that to happen, I don't want to keep putting it off. Like I want to start building
Hmm.
the momentum towards it, even though right now in January it feels like nothing creative will ever happen again in my whole life. But like I want it
Okay.
to, and I know it will. I know it's just January. And like the only thing that will, not the only thing, but one of the things that I figured out can get me closer to that is like meeting up with these people for coffee. So just
Hmm.
go do it and you'll feel closer to the thing you want, which is like a revival of this creativity. And I do feel closer to it. Um, but yeah, I had to kind of trick myself into it, or I was trying to trick myself
Yeah.
out of it or something.
Justin, I feel like I've picked up a like little mental trick from Justin that he's really good at with I don't know, a million different situations being like what's best case, what's worst case. Going to coffee, worst case, you go talk to three people who you did want to talk to. Maybe you didn't want to talk to them today, but you did want to talk to them and it's like centered towards your goal and maybe it's not super energizing and super hilarious, but like you tried it, you went, you got out of the house, you talked to three people, maybe you're a little tired. Like that's worst case.
Hmm.
Which is but on another day, worst case scenario, if you're so beat and so tired that, you're debating going to the gym, um, if you're so beat, so tired, you have a million things left to do, you're behind on work, and you're sleep deprived enough that like you might actually hurt yourself at the gym. Okay, don't
Yeah.
go. There are like worst case scenarios. Maybe socially, you could have had those three coffees lined up, and you also have a huge interview in the morning. And if you do not rest, if you do not recharge, if you do not get your sleep and do your routine, you could really fuck up your interview. That could be a great time to say no to the coffees. Like that's a bad worst case. So it's not even like I think it really depends on your
Yeah.
actual scenario. But for you, you were just like, kind of don't feel like it. Shake the
Just
snow
go.
globe. Just
Yep.
do it. Just shake the snow globe and see how you feel after.
Yo, something that I have realized about myself as I've gotten older is that I have spent way too many days of my life putting off going to the doctor. Like, I'm not even talking about just going for an annual physical or something. I understand putting those off. Nobody likes to step on a scale in front of another person. But things like I have a cold and I decide to wait a day or two or three before going to the doctor and just getting medicine. Or I sprain my ankle and I like wait for it to debilitate me before I go and just like get an x ray and confirm what's going on and get some pain meds and all of that. I just take my damn time before I ask for help. It's something that I really want to work on this year. It's like I waste time being in pain and struggling. So, one tool that's in my toolbox for helping me go to the doctor more readily and get the help I need more readily is ZocDoc. ZocDoc is sponsoring today's episode, and I actually have been using ZocDoc on and off for a really long time. It's like takes me too long to remember that that's something that I can do, but then once I do it, I realize that they can connect me to so many great doctors in my network that I would have spent hours searching for or really just avoided searching for on my own. So, ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high quality in network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. It really does it all for you. It does all the work for you. You just put your insurance plan in their little search engine. You say what you're looking for, and then it gives you a bunch of options near you. And you can look at ratings, you can review against different providers, and you can find the one that's right for you and get to the doctor's office sooner so that you can freaking go live your life. I can also usually find an appointment on ZocDoc within 2 or 3 days of booking. Like, there's not a huge wait time. I feel like I'm getting my needs met right away. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/not for everyone, fully spelled out, to find and instantly book a top rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/not for everyone. ZocDoc.com/not for everyone.
Can I tell you a little story?
Oh, yeah.
That was my smooth transition so that our editor Abby has an in because I
She's
because
in.
I went and peed. I went and peed a second ago and we needed to transition. Anyhow, here's a sweet little story that I think was sweet. This was a couple months ago, maybe 2 or so months ago. I went to like a storytelling event, The Moth, and people get up on stage in front of a big audience with a microphone and they just tell a story, an original story, true story from their life, and it's a competition and like your story gets like scored and there's a winner and la 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 la. It's like every fucking 63-year-old white woman of DC is there. It's like all the old white ladies are there together. And then there's other people too, but it's like, I don't know, old ladies love this shit. And also me, I've been a bunch. And it's a bunch of old people. And it's important
You're
to
talking
the
about in
story.
the audience, not the performers.
Everywhere, all over the
Every
place, on the walls, in the chairs,
in the,
on the stage. No, also performers, also performers.
okay.
The performers are just part of the audience, yeah. And I need to turn my heating pad
Oh,
back
they
on.
just
Thank
let people up from the audience.
Well, you have
Wait,
to
I've
sign
been to
up.
the Moth, but I don't
You have to
remember how it
sign
works.
up. Yeah,
Okay,
you have to sign up, but it's like they're not like professional storytellers. They're just fucking everyday hags just getting up
sure,
there
sure.
telling their stories. And I would say the median age is like 50 years old. And I was there with some friends, and this
Sorry, I
young
just
buck. What?
for some reason when you said the median age is 50, I
Yeah.
was in my head to explain that to myself. My brain was like, that means that somebody could be 100 and somebody could be zero, which
Oh,
also
Jessica.
which also isn't true because it's the
Oh.
median, not the mean. Anyway, that's where I'm at, just thinking about what it means for the median age
Oh,
to be 50.
she's off doing science. She's doing
Doing
science again.
science.
Oh shit, she's doing science on me. All right, you keep doing that over there.
I'm
You
good.
keep that
I'm
science
good.
over
You
there.
keep talking. I'll be
Okay, cool.
fine.
So basically, a young buck got up on the stage. This kid must have been, I think she said she was like 15 or 16 years old, and she got up and told a story, and she was looked like this scrawny little 15-year-old teenager. She was visibly shaking. Like this is a
Oh.
giant theater, and from like back in the theater, I could see her visibly like tremors, her whole body shaking, and you could hear it in her voice, and it just made you want to like call off the whole competition just to like save her. You know what I mean? It was that kind of
Hmm.
feeling where you're like, "Oh my God, poor puppy, like come here, puppy. Like everyone close your eyes. Don't make her do this. Like it's
Yeah.
gonna do this too hard for her." And it was like, and the story keeps going, and she got through it honestly, like pretty well, considering her whole body was shaking, and it must have been a completely out of body experience for her. But from the audience, I can tell you, like, it was almost impossible to listen to the story because you were really stressed out for her
Yeah.
and like heartbreaking for her. And maybe it's just me, but like, I don't know. That's very hard for me to watch someone going through their painful time. And and I really had this feeling of like I want to like sweep her off the stage and just be like, it's okay, you don't have to tell any more stories. Like everything's okay. And
Never tell a story again.
no one to ever make this sweet girl tell a story again. That was too hard for her. And then somehow I had this little like weirdo switch in my brain. Someone like shook the snow globe of my brain, and all of a sudden, instead, what I was thinking was like, oh my God, I am witnessing this child's
Hmm.
one of their key formative moments. They are going to tell the story of how they got up at 15 years old in front of a crowd of adults in this public theater and told the story, shaking to their bones and basically blacked out. They're going to tell the story of this forever. It is going to be one of the moments that shapes the rest of their life and who they are and what they're able to do and how they encounter scary things and what it's like for them to speak publicly and blah, 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 or part of her leadership. Or like this, I am watching a formative moment before my eyes right now. She's going to remember this moment forever, at least the fear. She's going to remember the fear forever. And then as soon as I was thinking of it that way, I was like, all of my discomfort watching, this young girl it was kind of painful and suffering to watch. All of a sudden, I was just like so happy for her.
Mm.
And, and I was like, I mean, so amazing for her. Not that it's not really amazing to go up and tell a story that you're super confident to tell and is a breeze for you, and you could do it with do it in your sleep. It is amazing to go up and do it when you are scared shitless and you do it anyway. And like that's character building. And I don't know why that flip happened in my head, but it was like it brought me so much more calm, and I really believe it. And it was just something that I always think about this with like, what kind of parent am I going to be? What are my pitfalls are going to be? Like I care about I like read about parenting and it's all hypothetical. I haven't fucking done it. I've taken care of kids a lot, but I'm not a parent. I've never been a parent and I try to learn as much as I can, but there's also this part of me that knows like I'm going to be surprised by what comes up if I'm a parent one day. And I always wonder like what is my pitfall going to be? What am I really like cuz we all fuck up our kids somehow, even with the
Yeah.
best intentions. So what's the way I'm going to fuck them up? And I always thought one of the things I'm inclined to do is to be like so protective and so empathetic and so enmeshed and entangled that it's really hard for me to let them experience necessary and nourishing pains, such as
Mhm.
getting up and telling a story that they're really scared to do, blah, 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 blah. And so I don't know, I kind of just like tucked it away in my head and I wanted to share it. I don't know. It was a fun moment for me. And like where this like it was like a transformative experience for me.
Yeah, that's
Does
so
that make
cool.
sense? Does
Yeah,
that make
her core
sense?
memory became your core memory for
Yeah,
like a
I'm gonna
totally
tell them.
different reason.
Yeah,
No,
and
I
just
mean,
being like, it's okay. It's okay that this like actually does suck for her right now. That's okay.
yeah. Um, no, I got goosebumps while you were describing it because I love that shift and it's so true. And I love thinking about being a part of that for somebody that you don't know. Like that part of it is really cool to me
Yeah,
because
I'm
if I
just some
think about,
extra.
yeah, like I was kind of trying to think about core memories that I have from when I was younger that, I recount a lot or that I feel really shaped me, like things like that that were scary or where I
Hmm.
faced something that I wasn't prepared for or something. And I do like I feel like I do there's people I always find it really interesting. Okay, obviously it's not the same because you were one of many audience members, so it's not like this girl like will think of you and your face specifically or something with this story, but I do think about some of the like random people that I've encountered that are in core memories for me and they don't even know that they're in that memory.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like a dentist or a like babysitter or just like people that happened to be around for a time in my upbringing that for whatever reason I've held on to and remembered and I
Hmm.
think about those people and they definitely don't think about me. Um, I don't know. I find that really interesting. So that was part of what I was thinking about while you were talking. And then just
Yeah.
the shift for you of viewing it that way is also a really cool thing because it's true. Like everybody needs to have those moments. Those are the moments. I would love to know more about like what even
I
brought her
know.
there. Like why was she even doing it in the first
She
place if she
actually
was so
shared
nervous?
at the end of her story, at the end of her story, she was like, um, and I'm here with my high school class and I'm doing this for extra credit. And then she like ran off the stage.
That's so
It
good.
was so cute.
Oh.
And of course she got like the biggest applause.
Yeah.
Um, and oh, you know what I didn't include is her story was about how she how she recently had been sent to a school for special education. And so she was speaking, she didn't like, categorize what her learning disabilities were, so I wouldn't even know what to say. But she
Mhm.
was talking about her experience being transferred to a school for special education. And obviously she was like
Cool.
the extremely articulate person. But it was just like there were all these added vulnerabilities and obviously added challenges for her. Um,
Yeah.
whatever, telling the story. And it was, yeah, it was so funny. It's just so hard to watch people go through their pains, but like, so that was like a really cool, painful, formative moment for her. But even those moments that I think back on for myself that were like, they weren't really cool and I wasn't being brave. They were just horrible. They were just
Mm,
horrible moments. Those also shaped me as a person. Like so many of the questions I get on my YouTube, I think from younger people who like in some way I've lived kind of a lot of lives for my age.
mhm.
Um and because I've just like done a lot of random weird shit, but I think I've gone through a decent amount of like really kind of like horrible stuff. And and I don't know, like this isn't horrible, but being like supremely isolated, like super, super, super alone and isolated for many years. Not the world's most unique experience, but not everyone's been through that before. Um, at what was I, like 18, and like living alone in a foreign country, and it was like really painful, and I don't really know what the point is, but it has completely informed who I am today and
Hmm.
enriched me, and it's something I can talk about now. And I don't know, it's just like the pain is just inevitable, and I have to think it's so hard to watch your own kid go through that. It's something
Hmm.
I worry about, like not because you can't save them from all pain, you cannot.
And you
um
should not, but for the
you should
very
and you
reason you're
shouldn't.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like this was my whole, I was like obsessed with this concept a couple years ago. I still am obsessed with it. Like that was the idea behind my first podcast, Peaking. It was about low moments in life that are opportunities to grow. Like
Mm-hmm.
I am obsessed with that because everybody has those stories. Some people have them earlier or more frequently than others, but like there really
Everybody
is
has
no
them. Yeah.
avoiding that you're going to go through hard things. And it's funny because we spend so much of our time and lives and energy trying to avoid hard things and trying to avoid scary things, trying to avoid pain. And it's actually in those moments where it finally gets you, because it will get you, that you unlock something else about yourself, or that
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I really think unlocking is the best way to phrase it. For me, it's like you unlock the next level of the video game. Like you had to go through
Totally.
that to be the new version of yourself that I don't, it's probably better. It's definitely different. It's definitely further along in the journey. Um, and you'll look back on it with like so much more clarity. So it is really cool to see when other people are doing it. In a similar but different way, like I love, and I don't do it enough for how much I love it. I love going to live music shows, live performances. Like I love, and I'm not talking about like going to a John Mayer concert, although I love that too. But like going to a local show of like local, performers starting out, whether they're musicians or stand-ups or
Mm.
something else, storytellers. I love seeing somebody on a stage being vulnerable, doing the thing that they is like so scary and maybe new to them, but it's also like the most themselves that they've felt. Like you can just tell when somebody's performing
Yeah.
on a stage and like they just feel it, whether they're good at it doesn't even matter. If it feels like they feel they're meant to be there, like you just sometimes have those experiences when you
Oh.
go to a live show. I don't know, I do. And I'm like watching this person be the most themselves that they can be in front of a bunch of other people who, like, maybe I have a specific appreciation for that because I've been a performer, but I really love that experience of watching somebody be that vulnerable and like I don't know. But but like it's where they're supposed to be. Um so I feel like that's part of what was going on too for this girl is like she was supposed to be there doing this crazy scary thing because 10 years from
Yeah.
now she's gonna think about it still, and it's gonna be the reason that like she was brave enough to do something else, or I don't know, at least she'd have a funny story. At least she got extra
Totally.
credit, I hope.
I think she got extra credit. She almost won the whole thing. I think she came in like second place or something.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
You mentioned leveling up in the video game of your life, and also mentioned like the people who are just like extras or like background players. Like I was like a
Yeah.
background, whatever, extra in this girl's life or your dentist or whatever. And I'm so obsessed with the concept of NPCs. Do you talk about NPCs?
NPCs, I don't know what that means.
NPCs. I don't know why I'm not into video games at all, but this the whole concept just cracks me up. NPC is a non-playable character. in
Okay.
in a video when you're in a video game and you're like you're James Bond like running through Casino Royale and there's like a character on the side who's like,
Yeah.
fucking whatever that dude does, like holds a gun and is one of the guards, and he's like, "Hey, you can't go in there."
Yeah.
And there's playable characters in the video game where you can like jump into them and be them as the controller. But then there's all these NPCs. There's all these non-playable characters, and they're just there to add color, and there's no depth to them, and you can't hop in them or live them, and there's no
Yeah.
story. And there's this whole thing on the internet and Reddit
Oh,
about like
shoot.
calling different humans NPCs. I mean, it makes me laugh and it sounds ridiculous, but like walking down the street, like
I love it.
I can't prove that all these other people on the street aren't NPCs. And also to some degree intellectually, I do believe that they live a life as rich and meaningful
Yes.
and urgent as mine. I do intellectually agree, but walking down the street, they're all NPCs.
Yeah, I
You know what
really
I
like
mean?
that.
Like this is
Yes.
a human
To you,
experience
they're NPCs.
to
Y-
everybody. To
But
everybody.
to everybody
If
except themselves.
if somebody tells me that they are fully feeling the emotional depth, veracity, and
Mhm.
like vastness of every human life that walks by
No.
them on the street, then you're lying because
Yeah.
you don't. But it's there, but everyone feels like an NPC.
The cool thing about NPCs, though, I really like this new term. I'm going to use
Oh
it
my
because
God, it's everything to
Ryan and I
me.
have started gaming together occasionally because I don't know. I was like, let me game with you. Let me like play some
Yeah, let me
Nintendo or
let me
whatever it
game with
is you
you.
play.
I'm wet. I'm wet.
Um, anyway, so now I'm going to show off my new language, my new lingo in
Oh,
the
fuck
gaming
yeah.
community. But
Ooh, slip it in,
also,
just slip it in
I'm going to slip it
somehow
in real
and see
soft.
if
Yeah.
he's really, yeah, okay.
But anyway, I feel like sometimes the cool thing about the NPCs in certain games is that even though it's not a character that you can play from, like you will never be in the body of that character and like seeing the vantage point of that character. Not only sometimes you have these little conversations that move the plot forward with them, but sometimes they'll like hold a key to something and it'll be like, oh, you have to go to that NPC and like have this little conversation with them. And then they'll be like, oh, yeah, come into this room. And that's all that they were there to do was like, is like open this door to you for you to the next room in the game. So they're still an NPC. They're still like not really significant, but they are because they
Yeah.
opened the door to this
No,
next
but
thing.
they're non-playable. It's not about being significant or not. You cannot inhabit their
Yes, it's
body.
just play
Non-playable character.
exactly. So,
Okay.
but they still, but I think that's the cool thing about it is like they're non-playable characters. You can never be in their body, but they still can have an impact for you, even if small. Does that make sense? Like they can still
It
let you into
it
this
does make
next part.
sense.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
I mean, it's mostly just like a silly internet thing to say every once in a while.
Can you
Just
tell me
walking
how you
around being
learned it?
like,
Like who
I
taught
don't
you
know. I
that?
feel like probably like my male cousins
Okay.
say it or something. Though, like when we like go I feel like when you go to like if you like show up at like a party that like you don't really know anyone there or like a family reunion you don't really want to be at and
Oh
it's not even
yeah.
it's like really
That's
distant
funny.
family, they'll just be like, look at all these fucking NPCs.
Yeah, that's really funny. I like
Yeah, I
that.
don't know. I'm not really explaining it correct. I don't feel like I'm explaining
You
why it's
are.
so fun. I think what I'm saying sounds callous, but it's funny, I promise.
It doesn't sound callous. Everybody, it's the truth. It's like you walk down the street and you see all these faces and they all have their own like backstory, but you'll never know them and you'll never walk a mile
Believe
in
that
their
they do.
Louboutins.
Yeah, Louboutins. I'm just Googling NPC on Reddit to see if I can find something that supports me. I don't know.
You don't need to prove it. I'm impressed with your
Okay.
gaming knowledge. I will take it forward with me. As a gamer, I do understand. And if people
The
don't
game.
understand, then you're just not playing the game of life enough, bro.
I love you. Okay,
Okay?
wait. Ooh, this looks kind of interesting. Yeah. Sociological reductionism of the NPC meme. The NPC meme has been taking the internet by storm of late. Popular
Oh, this is
trends.
a thing that people use in real life.
I mean, they say this and people, what do you mean?
Like the fact that your cousins started using it in real life, this gaming term in real life. Other people do that too. Of like looking around and being like,
Oh, this
"Oh,
that's what I'm saying. This is yeah, my
it's a
cousins
thing."
didn't invent that. This is a
Okay,
thing.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, calling people NPCs.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, okay, so an NPC, a non-playable character, is a video game character that is controlled by the game's artificial intelligence rather than by a gamer. Non-playable characters serve a number of purposes in the video game, like advancing the plot or simply taking up space to enhance realism.
Like there just
Such
have
a
to be
fact,
other bodies here.
it just makes me laugh to think of using this around about humans. You're just taking up. You're not a real
You're just a
person.
body
You're just taking up space to enhance the realism of my
of my
life.
experience.
When you're mad at somebody, you can think of them as an NPC. Okay, one defining characteristic of NPCs is that they are incredibly limited in their vocal capability. This is likely because video games are costly and take a great amount of time to build, so naturally the AI will be limited in what it can express. Thus, NPCs are incredibly predictable and basically are walking cliches. They also tend to all say the exact same thing, and their phrases are often cloned and applied to all NPCs. Um,
Yeah, like it'll
okay.
just be somebody on the side when you
Yeah.
do a cool move being like rad. I imagine NPCs say the word rad.
Yeah,
No.
totally. Yeah, totally. This has been a great solo podcast episode for me, accompanied by this NPC who's here just to enhance the realism of this podcast. I don't know,
This
it makes
one
me laugh so much.
you're allowed to laugh at it. We're all laughing. We're
Okay.
laughing with
Are we
you. I
laughing?
think you're making it weird now. So like
I
it
think
was normal and now it's getting different.
I'm thinking of all the ways that it could be used really callously to dehumanize people, but that's not how it's supposed to be used. It's supposed to be used when you find people stupid and annoying, and then you're like, that's okay, they're just NPCs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Should I
it's
keep
a you're
talking?
allowed to. No, I think you need to stop. Do should I do the
You know
outro?
what? You know what's been going on? I've been forgetting to take my Zoloft a lot, so I've been taking it like every
Oh,
other day, and I would say I've been feeling a lot more anxious. Do you think there's any connection?
you know, I'm not qualified to answer that question.
You're a doctor. What do you mean? You're a scientist.
I am the
Yeah.
scientist that invented Zoloft, but I cannot speak to your personal experience. You're just an NPC
What
here.
was that thing you said earlier about median?
Um, if the median is 50, then that means 100 and 0 could both have been there.
Right. That's true. We'll see you next week.